How is going, everyone? We are here live on the first live stream of Crypto Plus Plus with XNET. Today, we're gonna go through a lot of stuffs about DePin infrastructure and narrative and everything else that needs to be discussed. Here with me from X team is Big Jan, which is gonna represent the XNET team, and also Chase from XNET Foundation. As from our side of Crypto Plus Plus, we have Normal Lab, Daduki, and Lavinod, which we're gonna elaborate on everything that we researched about the project, how we found the project, how we decided to invest on the project, and what we see as further integrations or further progress for the project. Here, I would go to Normal Lab on the beginning, and maybe we should wait just for a little for people to join on the live chat. We're gonna have a live stream of 45 minutes as we always do. By the way, this is Crypto Plus Plus is a new platform where we're gonna share different type of insights, different type of news, also some trading suggestions, just like we do on all the communities that we lead. We have Normal Lab here, which on the beginning we were by the way is a cool story because we entered through our phone. You know, like when we found XNET, we were digging on the project, we were digging on everything that was going on, and we were on our villa that we have meetings with the team and stuff. And Normal, let's say, yo, jump in on this project, you know, buy this project. You get it? Like that was the first signal that he gave us, and without even asking anything, we started buying the whole team, you know, and we started getting into introduced on the project and stuff. And Lav, can you tell us more about how you found it and how you came up with telling us let's buy this?
Yeah, the best place to find solid projects is Twitter, in my opinion. So then after you find the project, what you need to do is to make an on-chain analysis. And you know, guys, that I love on-chain analysis. So what I did, I joined to see some transactions, to see the holders, some tokenomics, but I'm not the big fan of the tokenomics as I am the big fan of the on-chain datas. And I saw that this project have potential, it have good holders, good buyers, that is very important. And then I decided to jump in and told you guys to jump in and told our community also to buy it. I gave 2 zones, as you know, so it was like accumulated because I expect something big to happen with this project. And also with my experience before with a similar project like we talked earlier, like Helium. I used to trade it, I used to mine Helium. It was very profitable for me. I found it when it was $3, I think, and it went to $50. So I think the same potential, but better, the XNET have it. So why not to jump on it? Why not to buy? So I made the community to buy, told them to accumulate it and to wait because good things takes time. So then after we finished with the community, I told to the Datuki and to Labinot as our FAs to make an FA for them. Also asked from the Labinot to do a presentation of the XNET project as an FA. So now I will leave him to share his screen and to let us know what he thinks and what he have found. Lab.
Hello everyone. Tonight I want to talk you about a really cool DePin project, which I called it the dark horse of DePin projects. First we'll break what is DePin and why it's important, and then we'll take a closer look at the XNET project step by step.
Yeah, can you share the screen?
So can you share the screen as well?
Yeah.
God damn, I'm so excited for those alphas, bro, and insights and stuff like that. Let's get it going.
Yeah, we can see you, Lab.
What we talk, the XNET project, I called it the dark horse of DePin. But what is DePin? DePin stands for Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Networks. It's all about using blockchain technology to build real-world infrastructure by letting people from the community participate rather than relying on big companies. Basically, what it does, it uses blockchains and token rewards to decentralize infrastructure in the real world, where individuals can contribute physical infrastructure resources across fields such as transport, energy, and wireless connectivity. And here is where XNET comes in. What is XNET? It is a new and exciting player in the Debian space, offering a new way to bring better mobile services using blockchain technology that's powered by community builders and not giant mobile companies. Today, we are seeing that big mobile companies control most of our wireless networks, and they are become increasingly centralized. And also, the cost of maintaining this network is huge. So many still areas have poor service, and companies struggle to keep up with rising demand. So what XNET does, XNET aims to fix this by giving the power to individuals to bring LTE 5G or carrier Wi-Fi offload where it is needed most using XNET's core system and blockchain technology. That means more people can get fast, reliable service without needing huge infrastructure. Uh, with XNET, we are having a decentralized connectivity. It leverages freely available spectrum like CBRC and Wi-Fi version 6 Plus with decentralized network approach by using blockchain technology and so on. This approach intensifies individuals like rooftop owners or coffee operators and traditional mobile networks partners to participate and benefit from building a strong wireless community. With XNET, we don't have the need for large infrastructures. Instead of buying expensive infrastructure like towers and spectrum licenses, which traditional mobile carriers do, builders can plug into XNET system, and XNET gives them access to the core network which powers the connection. Basically, in simple words, with XNET, they can set up small equipment like antennas on rooftops and other places to provide 5G or Wi-Fi to people nearby. What is the best part? The best part is by helping build these networks, individual and small businesses can earn money or rewards for providing coverage. So it's a win-win for both the builders and the people who need better mobile service. So how community can create a network with XNET? We won't go in much details. So you can find that in XNET official website. But we can have two types of nodes: CBRC nodes and Wi-Fi offload nodes. If someone wants to go deeper in this technical terms and how to create a network with XNET, you can find it in the XNET official website and documentation. So some deployment tips. Builders can deploy these nodes in strategic location and where there are many people, such as airport, coffees, parks, shopping malls, public transit, and station. Why? Because by placing these nodes in these busy areas, builders can attract more users and provide reliable internet access. And this is important. Poor locations will not earn rewards because there is no offload potential. And when builders deploy these nodes successfully, they can earn rewards in the form of XNET tokens, which gives them a financial incentive to contribute to the network. Team stands for from some people with a strong background. For example, the CEO Richard Deval is a tech guy that has a strong background. So previously he worked at the Google X Moonshot Factory, and he also was an innovation prototype scientist at Apple. And the other members of team you can also find in the official XNET documentation and website, and you can read them in more details. The XNET token serves as a bridge between two key groups, node operators, and they are who build and maintain this network physical infrastructure, and mobile network operators who pay to utilize this coverage created by these node operators. Node operators are rewarded in XNET tokens for their contribution, while mobile networks operators, as the end users of the XNET network, pay for access through carrier offload services. And more information you can find on the official XNET documentation. Also, you can find this information about circulating supply token distribution in the official website.
Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. So thanks a lot, Laminot. And this was an introduction about the project that we're going to talk about right now. I would love from Big Jan to get an introduction of himself as well on everything that he was doing till now and how it came up joining the XNET team and XNET Foundation and everything else, and showing us if there was any type of accuracy on the research that Laminot did. So we can elaborate on that and move forward with that.
Yeah. No, can you guys hear me? Just testing the audio.
Yeah. Loud and clear, bro.
Awesome. Yeah. No, appreciate you guys for having me on, us on. And Labinot, thanks for the due diligence, right? A lot of teams. I think you nailed a lot of things. We can expand on some things as we
It
go
was
on
my
here. But
pleasure.
yeah. Happy to provide a quick introduction for myself. I'm Sean. Most people know me as Big Sean on Twitter and Discord. I've been a part of this DePin ecosystem / space before it was even named DePin, right? Before, in my opinion, it was at least decentralized wireless. And the concept was created by a company called Helium, as Normal Lab kind of presented. He was involved in that project. So yeah, I've been involved. I was a Helium community member and a miner since then. And then a few more projects specifically in the decentralized wireless side came about. Pollen Mobile, Helium launched their mobile side, right? And then XNET came about. And then along the same timeline, kind of a lot of other DePin protocols emerged in, I don't know. I view it like there's a few industries, I think, as Labanat mentioned in his due diligence, such as energy, wireless, compute. There's a few industries that capture a lot of TAM, right? Like just in the United States, the total addressable market of mobile data is $300 billion, and I think it equates to over $2 trillion in internationally. So it's like there's these huge markets that exist. Obviously, through Helium, we found out that crypto incentives can coordinate and drive the development of these wireless networks to a scale that current infrastructure, like whatever the current mobile carriers do, can't really achieve scale wise, speed wise, just cost efficiency wise, right? So yeah, no, with all those learnings, XNET came about around 2 years ago. I think one of the biggest things in Labanat's research was that we're a new project, but obviously people have just been hearing about us now. But we've been building our network solutions for around 2.5 years now. That's around when I joined the team. Initially, we had launched on Polygon. 2.5 years ago, of course, the crypto ecosystem was much different, right? I think FTX had just happened. Polygon was arguably maybe a better place to build than Solana at that time, but since then a lot has changed. So yeah, no, we've been live for 2 years, getting good investors in, getting good partners in, getting our network built out, getting the concept proven and working, I think is the biggest thing, right? And yeah, we recently migrated to Solana, did a whole tokenomics revamping. And maybe the biggest thing is we signed a direct deal with the largest mobile carrier in the United States. So this whole DePin thing is real, right? Like XNET is partnered with a company in the real world, the biggest mobile carrier in the US, that these companies have $100 billion+ market caps, right? In the real world. And they're bought into the concept. They can see how it works. It's a win-win for them too, right? Reduce cost. They don't have to deploy new infrastructure. They can use XNET's existing infrastructure to serve their users, which is again also 100 million. This carrier has over 100 million users just in the United States. So the opportunity is huge. The market size is huge. XNET approach is pretty dialed in with how we want to acquire these customers and bring revenue onto the network. And we see a clear path to this thing scaling and maybe even becoming a household name in 10 years, right? The vision is 10 years. I know it's hard for a lot of crypto bros to understand that. Me included, right? Before I
Yeah.
joined XNET and actually got the vision that these founders brought, because they've worked in traditional telecoms for decades, right? CEO has led companies like Google and Apple. So they're not like new players just trying to
Yeah.
like launch a token and
Yeah.
hope something works. They've built the demand side of this actually in the real world. So no, really excited to be on here and happy to share more insights, answer questions,
That's
take deeper dives on specific things. Yeah.
that's what I loved about the whole team behind it. Like all that type of experience on the exact fields that you guys are operating. As for the new project that Lebanon mentioned, is because the switch that you guys did on Solana. Like when that switch happened, like that type of changing network, or how can we call it? It became something obvious for us that yeah, we need to go for it, as Solana is offering those. They are in this. Like, and it has a lot of reliable things that we can go on and take a look into it. Which you were talking about some corporations, or some partnerships with some big telecom names on United States. And can you elaborate more on that, on how that's going, and what's the vision of this type of partnership with such a big companies, like the one that you guys are partnering up already?
Yeah. I won't mention any names, but I mean, you can look it up pretty easily, all right? Just search who the biggest carrier is in the United States. But yeah, no, recently we signed, I think around a month ago, it's called in the mobile telecom industry, it's called a direct offload roaming agreement. So this means anywhere there's an XNet node, right? Which could be in your local coffee shop in Texas. It could be in a stadium in Denver. It could be at a mall in California, right? Community members that have deployed this network for us. So basically, any customer of the largest carrier in the United States, which again I said was over 100 million total subscribers to that network. So there's today in America, there's 100 million phones, probably more, that if they're in range with an XNet device in the wild, so say this device is in LA at a stadium, I walk in, I'm a customer of the largest carrier in the United States, my phone will automatically roam onto the XNet device. And there's multiple reasons with this. Things like network congestion, said carrier, like the demand for data is a graph that goes straight like this, right? When you look into the next 5 years of kind of how the world has evolved digitally and how much bandwidth everyone's using. And all this occurs on your mobile phone, right? Mostly. Obviously, we use your computers, but day to day, like data use on phones is just going parabolic. That's a graph that won't stop, regardless of a recession, regardless of what happens in the future. That's a certainty. So Richard Duvall, our CEO, often says that, data markets are a very recession proof sort of market. So that's pretty exciting for us too. But yeah, back to the point of how the partnership works, and how you guys we can project the scale of this moving forward. So yeah, I walk in, I'm a customer of the biggest carrier in the US. I'm in vicinity of an XN node. My phone will automatically connect to the XN node. Things due to like network congestion, this carrier wants to relieve stress from their current infrastructure, right? That's already deployed. So that's where the offload comes in. They can use our network to offload their subscribers. So it's kind of a density thing. Like their infrastructure has it's over flooded with usage. Now there's an XNet node in the same area. So that this phone will much rather connect to the one with the less density in terms of the bandwidth demand. Capacity, congestion, cost is a huge one, right? Mobile carriers in the US, their average cost for putting a gigabyte to my phone is around 50 cents US dollars. XNet, due to this whole crypto incentive, using blockchain, that cost is reduced by 3 to 4 times. So for the carrier, it's a no-brainer, right? Instead of them spending 50 cents per gigabyte, they would rather spend a multiple 3, 4x, maybe even less in some cases, to give the same service. So that's the beauty of this. And the XNet approach is called, I don't want to get too in the weeds with telecom terminology because I don't know how much of our users are, but XNet is a neutral host network, which means it can work with any carrier in the United States, eventually internationally, and any MVNO also in the United States, which is things like Mint Mobile. We can even work with Helium Mobile, hopefully one day, offload their customers for much cheaper than what their rates are with the carrier they pay. So yeah, neutral host basically means open and available to all, right? So the core tech is built in a manner that any carrier should be able to connect and use our network. So that includes all the carriers in the United States, internationally. It's built on certain standards, right, that the telecom industry uses. Is basically like the TLDR of but yeah, basically last few points on that partnership. So every time said carrier's customer uses that XNet network, the carrier pays XNet per gigabyte, all right, of every gigabyte that goes through our network. And Chase, if you want to pull up the maybe our Dune dashboard just for a visualization of these stats of what I'm talking about. But yeah, so far we've go ahead, Normalab.
No, I have a question. So it's the carrier who will pay for the usage of XNet network, right? It's not going to be the end user.
It's not the end user. No, the carrier pays because again, the carrier using the XNet network is way cheaper for them than to use their own parent network, right?
So you will also you will use the carrier infrastructure because the MVNOs, they don't deploy an infrastructure. They only have those hotspots that they install in certain area, and you will also get paid by the carrier for the internet that is used by the end user, right? Because it's
Exactly, but through the XNet network is a key distinguishment. Like we don't get paid for we don't use the carrier infrastructure. Say MVNOs, right? There's MNOs who pay XNet
yeah.
directly, and then the MVNO leg of the business is they usually pay the carriers like AT&T, T-Mobile to use their network, which is way higher than that 50 cents a gig I mentioned. It's usually $1 plus. So anywhere where there's an XNet node, they would much rather put their customers on the XNet network than pay, say, AT&T or T-Mobile for that gigabyte. So in both these branches of customers, we have MNOs as the biggest customers with the most users, and then MVNOs, which have smaller customer base, like they have a few million on average, but their rates per gigabyte, which come to XNet directly, are 3 to 4 times higher than what the larger customers pay. So each bucket of customers is basically a revenue source that I think that'll scale dramatically over time as the network grows. And more deals are signed too, right? Like so far in the date, we only have the biggest deal signed with the biggest carrier in the US. And to my knowledge, we're the only DePin project that's accomplished this so far. So cheers to that. It's a great start. And then, yeah, we're in works of closing the second largest MVNO in the United States as well. And yeah, I mean, I just think this thing will follow through, We kind of broke the walls down with the first deal before, because again, I was building in the space for around 2 years, right? You would approach these carriers and they would be like, all right, so like I understand what you guys are trying to do, but this is like some blockchain, small crypto company, like they didn't frankly take us seriously, any of the industry seriously, really, for the past 2 years until XNet came about and proved that this concept works, proved that we're using industry standards, because you can't just throw up a random network deployed anywhere that's not standardized to what they're usually used to and expect them to use it, right? So Rich, our CEO, also always says there's a thing in the industry, right? They say build and they will come. But in this matter, like you need to build something they want and then they'll come, right? So you need to build a usable network that will effectively reduce their cost and work, right? It has to seamlessly work for them to use it. So those are some of the first things they check. And if you don't check those boxes, then they tell you to go home. But yeah, XNet kind of broke down these walls after the first carrier, it's like something you can prove, right? Like we're working with the biggest carrier. So the next carriers will follow, I think, like dominoes. Like the first domino has fallen in terms of decentralized wireless, and I think this thing is really about to blow up in the coming years.
I have another question. Is XNET going to stick only with mobile data, or they are going also to expand, having phone numbers, voice calls, include SMSs and other stuff that a typical carrier has? Or
Yeah,
XNET is going to
so
stick only?
I think the long-term vision for XNET, if everything goes well, like on a decade, right, maybe even 2 decade horizon, is to provide its own services like that, like provide its own phone number, provide our own eSIM. So carriers can just use our network, but for that, your network has to scale tremendously, right? Like
Yeah.
there would have to be hundreds of thousands of XNET nodes around the US for us to offer like a full suite carrier service. So right now, the focus is just to capture the revenue offload, which is already huge, right? I think just the offload market in the US is around $300 billion, which is huge. Usually crypto doesn't have these massive TAMs, right? But that's the beauty of DePin. That's the beauty of like wireless data markets, mobile market specifically. But yeah, no, I think that's in the cards for XNet. It's obviously a long-term vision, 10 to 15 years, but I could fully see that happening. And yeah, no, the founders are, that's what they want to happen, you know. The carrier market in the US is very monopolized due to things like regulatory capture, and it ends in like a bad user experience, right? Data shouldn't be this high. Data should be more importantly and available to everyone at a low cost, because that's how we communicate our thoughts and ideas spread in this world, right? So that shouldn't be restricted by 3 companies, at least in my views and the founders' views. So it's more like data is more of a right in today's age than it is a service. So everyone should have access to it, and it should be cheaper, right? So yeah, that's how we kind of view it, and that's, I guess, the core XN mission, is to make these things cheaper and more accessible to the world from like a high level perspective.
Love it. So this whole nerdy conversation about tech, it was good, because the thing is, like the one question that I was about to make, because are you guys planning to operate outside the United States or just on the United States at the moment?
Yeah, so like I said, again, we've come this far, right? I think some of the accomplishments we've made are huge recently with a fairly small, scrappy team, which is kind of the more interesting thing. We've raised only a few $1 million till date. We're currently raising our A round, which there's a lot of interest in. So a lot more exciting things to come. There will be a lot more fuel, right, to operate, go get all these deals. But yeah, so right now we're laser focused. I mean, we were for the past few months, maybe even year, to prove out the concept. Landing this deal kind of was the hardest part, I think, for the industry, which we did. So now it's just we want to partner with all the carriers in the United States. So there's 2, 3 more. Get deals with them, build out the network more in the United States. And as soon as that we have that, I think part of the A round funds will be used for some sort of international expansion. There's certain markets where it makes sense, right? Interestingly, around the world, data is not as expensive in some places as the US per gigabyte. But in the areas where it is and it's needed, XNet will definitely, be planning on expanding there with international sales team and international devs team. Probably like Q1 2025 or later this year even. I think we could start to see some international deployments come about. We were just in Singapore and for the conference, right? Token 2049 and Breakpoint. And I'm pretty sure Rich sat down with their, I think their main carrier there is Singtel.
Okay.
Rich like actually had a meeting with one of the Singtel guys. He got connected with them there, and they're like they love the concept. So, but yeah, no, it's definitely a model that can be copy and pasted internationally. The economics are kind of different internationally than the US, but it's XNet should be a global network, right? At the end of the day, for that core vision.
I
Accessibility
also
to data should be for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also have a question. As XNET expands, how do you plan to address the challenge of scaling a decentralized network to ensure a consistent performance across multiple regions?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So something called around like validation and staking is also about to go live within the XNet network. So basically, like node operators will have to ensure that their deployments reach a certain threshold of uptime and reliability metrics, or like the rewards will be slashed, right, according to their stake. So things like that, we XNet monitors it pretty severely on our back end. So carriers don't want these networks to be deployed within your homes, right? Because that's not really the use case. The use case is for you to deploy them in areas where the carriers need it. So like an area where there's congestion, New York City, a coffee shop, their cell tower is already loaded, right? So they need another node there to offload on. So yeah, location requirements, and all of that is a huge thing. XNet itself, I think their staking and slashing is going to like put a big kind of improvement to this thing. So it doesn't have to be monitored kind of on a one-to-one. I think a lot of incentives can be designed to help this issue. But yeah, I think some sort of central monitoring of, like you said, to keep up these reliability metrics, because in telco, right, it's 99.999% uptime is required. And obviously there's times when there's outages, but that's what you need really on the network to be considered like a true mobile carrier. So one day if XNet becomes a true mobile carrier in 10 years, you can't have certain nodes in the network that are only 60%, 70%. Like you would need to have 99.9, maybe plus in some cases, uptime and data throughput. But yeah, I know through some of our big partners as well, like say XNet is working right now on converting some university stadiums and some huge venues in the US for data offload. But yeah, through big partners like that, we expect we sign certain SLAs to ensure that their networks are at a certain standard. Because at the end of the day, we're selling that network to a telco, right? A big mobile carrier. So if that network we're selling is very bad in terms of metrics, then it's a bad look on us to the carrier, which was a huge issue in the space before I think we came about. So there's a lot of ways XNet's thinking about that, I guess in short. But yeah, those are just some of the ways we're handling it right now. I think it will evolve over time as well.
Can I ask another question?
Yeah, for sure.
As I read in the documentation, said that traditional mobile networks operators are struggling to keep up with increasing demand. So how does XNET plan to manage the increasing demand for network resources as more users and operators join the ecosystem?
Yeah, no, I mean, a key part of it is kind of like token incentive model and how we think about that, right? I think Helium proved it out around 2 years ago, how it can evolve. Like I think they built the largest, slightly different. It was a slightly different type of network, but they built the largest LoRaWAN IoT network in the world, right? Using this model. So I think it can be done, and especially kind of as you mentioned, like the data demands, carriers aren't able to keep up. I'm pretty sure if you look at the net deployments of new equipment by mobile carriers in the US, it actually hasn't gone that much further in like this year. So like they haven't really been deploying 5G networks and more nodes across the United States. So yeah, I mean, one, I think the key thing there is incentives and aligning those well. So it makes sense for network participants to come in and deploy these nodes where they're needed. But yeah, similarly, like I mean, I think if the flywheel takes off, right, as we saw last bull market, this thing can get crazy. Like we could have maybe 100,000 5G radios deployed across the United States, and like if we pair that with monitoring the reliability and making sure all of that is being done to a certain standard, this thing can get crazy real fast, right? Like we can be we are already an actual telco. Like we're in all the organizations that classify you as one, but we could be providing the service as well, maybe way quicker. So yeah, I mean, right now it's just kind of helping the carriers balance that demand. So in areas like New York, XNET has a radio in Times Square, right now. So like any carrier there would be happy to use the XNET node if there's a deal signed with them because it's just more cheaper and all those nodes are at capacity, right? So yeah, that's kind of how we're thinking about that.
Do you have a number
I'm not sure.
of active nodes that you have right
Yeah,
now throughout
I
USA?
was gonna say, I don't know if Chris or Chase is on. I can screen share as well, but Chase, if you're on, you can screen share our
Pull up
Explorer.
the Explorer.
Pull up the Explorer and then also pull up the Dune dashboard because we can kind of show the offload metrics. It's fairly new. Like obviously the offload deal was just signed a month ago, but yeah, let's show everyone these two things. I think it would be helpful.
Also, the number of holders is increasing, as I saw at Dune Analytics.
You're on mute, Lab.
Oh, okay. The number of holders I saw at Dune Analytics that are increasing, and that's good sign.
Yeah, slowly but surely,
Yeah.
the attention metrics are getting out there, and people are recognizing it. And unfortunately, most of the world can't participate on the deployer side, but they can be active as a holder, and we're just getting our governance going, as Sean had mentioned, and certain other things. So if you look and you zoom in on the visualizer, like we have good clusters in San Francisco, and you can see where these zones are, the names of the radios, etc. There's hexes in here as well. Sean can elaborate on any of the significance of how our
Yeah,
hex
I
systems
would.
work.
Can you do me a favor and zoom into Miami real quick? It would be on kind of the East Coast. I think, yeah, zoom into that 37. And yeah, zoom into those blue highlighted hexes. This is also a
Like
very exciting, yeah, those blue ones right under your cursor. If you just
right
hover
here.
over to click on it. Yeah, click on those.
They're not clicking anything up.
Okay, they're not labeled right now. I think they may have taken the labels out, but something really
Isn't that the
exciting.
the airport
Yeah,
deployment?
yeah, something really exciting that's also happening after we signed our deal with the biggest carrier. Oh yeah, there it is.
There you go. There it is.
You could see the cluster. We won't name any names, but some carriers have access to our Explorer now, so they can essentially draw hexes in of areas where they're really suffering. XNET can identify this itself, but the carriers are like, "Hey, this is a really big pain point for us, and we would love to have XNET nodes show up in this." So this is a very new development also to the XNET ecosystem, where carriers are identifying their pain points and where the highest demand is, where they need help the most on their network. And then the XNET comes in designing incentives, right? Like I don't think the incentives have come out for these hexes yet, but it's going to be like some crazy multiplier. We're going to be like, all right, like the carrier listed there needs coverage here. So let's blow up the incentives here and go get these deployments in there, right? Because the offload in terms of gigabytes revenue coming to XNet is going to be significantly higher in that zone.
Is there any condition how you should put the devices? You know, in Bobcats was like the devices should be away 200 meters, and it was the biggest problem was with the octagons, like 50 miners in one octagon, and there was no good reward. Is there any condition at the XNET devices that people need to know? like
Yeah,
it was
there's
at Agent E, yeah.
there's an expansive documentation on our website. Chase, if you want to share that, it's called XNET Deployer Tips, I believe, 101. And it kind of highlights like, okay, like you're in America and you're interested in deploying our network, how you should go about it step by step in terms of identifying the location, the actual deployment itself, in terms of what sort of hardware you should use. Because for each use case, even, right, whether it be a cafe or maybe you're trying to cover a music festival. Yeah, exactly. This is the perfect document. Or a shopping mall or airport. There'll be a different sort of hardware that XNET provides for each of these use cases. So it's important to get the right equipment. It's important to deploy it correctly with the right backhaul, which is basically just like internet speed, right, and power. So all those things are important. You just plugging it in somewhere random isn't really useful for our network, but therefore it also won't get rewarded, right? I think Labanat in his due diligence kind of highlighted that the only people that get paid on the XNet network is if the carrier is paying XNet for that data directly. So there's not really, how we saw in the Helium days, there's not a huge dilution, I would say, in terms of like proof of coverage rewards. So I don't have 30 XNet nodes just underneath me, right? Providing no utility at all. And I'm not farming because I can't, right? So that's like
There
one
is
thing
a
that makes
bigger
it.
barrier to entry for our project, and what Helium, like, people say we're competitors. We're not really competitors, like the possibility of Helium becoming our customer is more likely than us like competing with Helium down the road. As far as the deployers are concerned, these are business and commercial locations. So if you have those hexes on a map, not everybody can just stick a pole up on top of their house within that hex field. They have to have access to a business or commercial location. And I think that, weeds out that problem of, hey, there's so many radios saturating this increased reward area that we're not getting it. Well, not everyone is going to have access. Not everyone's going to have the ability to talk to business owners and property owners in order to get the right radios there in the right circumstances to then be rewarded graciously for being there. So a little bit different.
Yeah. I know it will be a big thing, XNAT, and that's why I decided to be a long-term holder, not to trade it. So I'm very happy that I found the project.
Yeah,
So,
no.
yeah.
As you said, kind of on the trading side, I mean, I trade a decent amount myself, right? I'm pretty in touch with the pulse of the space of how liquidity and attention kind of rotate. But yeah, like you said, this is like a long-term business at the core of it, which we're building. And I'm sure like price and market cap will follow eventually, right? As we have more and more users, more and more deals. But yeah, I mean, right now, right, it's pretty funny. Like as soon as the market shows some hint of recovery, all the attention and liquidity just rotates back to memes, right? So as you said, it's
It's
definitely a
the meme
long-term
super
hold.
cycle, man.
It is, yeah. It is the meme super cycle, but I mean, XNet is a leader in DePin, which is one of the, I think, largest and maybe only one of the defensible use cases crypto has come out with since the Bitcoin white paper. So I'm pretty excited about what we have, and I think we'll be leaders in this decentralized wireless subsector of DePin for years and decades to come.
Let's go. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love
So
it.
I have a question of how the devices of XNet are deployed. For example, the cafes and the coffee shops. So the carrier identifies that area that it's overcrowded and there is a need for extra wireless devices from XNet. So is XNet who is going to make the deal with the owner of the property or with the
No,
airport?
no.
Or I will buy the device from XNet and I will have to make the deal with him to deploy the device on his property.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
then
So
and then
that's
I will be rewarded with XNet tokens for using
per
your device.
gigabyte. Yeah, per gigabyte that your device is like offloading to the carrier. Yeah, There is a new kind of version of this that's developing. I'll try to not dig into the weeds too much of like the technical jargon, but it's another kind of approach we think that'll help us scale immensely. It's called brownfield conversions. So there's a lot of, like, if you look across the US, you could probably pull up a map, but there's hundreds of thousands of Wi-Fi nodes deployed, right? In areas such as these. A lot of them are already up to carrier standards. But like, say, internet service providers, right? They're a good example of this. They have, say, five to 10,000 nodes deployed for a specific use case somewhere, say it be a mall. But they just have a contract with that mall to provide like the mall service, but they don't have the contracts with the carrier, which XNET does. So something really interesting that we're heavily pursuing is these areas. We can make, if we make a deal with that ISP, we can convert that whole mall by pushing the XNET certificate, which has access to the carrier, and convert those like 5 to 10,000 nodes and bring them on the XNET network. Why would they do it? Because they don't have access to revenues from the carrier. They don't have a direct pairing, right? They're just providing service to mall patrons. So this is another very exciting, I think, leg of the business that's developing soon. And I think you saw we had 1,000 nodes. I think the path to getting XNET to 10,000 nodes, maybe even by the end of this year, is very achievable through the means, through people deploying individually and making these deals. And XNET itself aggressively targeting, say, stadiums, areas, music festivals, and being like, hey, we can make this service better because we have a direct pairing with the carrier. So yeah, I guess in short, there's people individually are a huge aspect of the XNET network, but conversions of existing equipment that exist in America, I think, is also going to be a huge market and huge strategy for XNET going into Q4 this year and Q1 of 25.
Yeah, I've read recently that Helium is replacing all Telefonica devices in Mexico because when I found XNET, I was actually researching about Helium and I found it very attractive. That's why I found attractive the DePin narrative because in DePin I see that there is a narrative that when crypto has an actual usage, not only creating the token, selling it, but the token and the project will have a purpose.
Exactly. And yeah, if you could share the Dune next, Chase. Just wanted to show people some stats, the XNET mobile Dune. But yeah, exactly like you said.
Yeah,
users.
I was looking at these stats and they're
Like,
impressive.
so this is real, right? This is XNET has served over 1 million mobile phones in the US.
Yeah.
And we're just getting started, right? And so far we've served close to 23,000 gigabytes, so 23 terabytes of data. But again, this whole initiative and this deal just went live around a month ago, right? So there'll be more deals coming in. The network will grow. So this number will, as I said, the demand for data and XNET network growing, this graph was just going to keep going up. I don't think there will ever be a dip in this graph. Sure, there might be dips along the chart, but then use case of this business we're building is here to stay for years and years to come, which is the most exciting thing. Crypto is additive, right? Token incentives and the blockchain is additive to this business. So it's very exciting.
It has been a great live stream, to be honest, and I got informed way more than I was earlier, and I hope that everyone who is watching it right now at around 1.1 thousand live streamers that we have on the Binance Live. And I hope everyone found it helpful, the whole insights that we gave about the projects and also the whole discussions that we had about the future of DePin and how it makes sense, actually makes sense, which to be honest, we are like those type of guys that straight up look for logical, perception on the project and the token usage as well. We are coming to the end of the live stream right now, and it was a great one. We never lasted this long with any other project, on the live stream.
There is a question that I think everyone involved in this live stream is interested on, because we know that XNET can be is tradable only on Phantom or on the DEXs in Solana. Are there talks for any listings that are on the way in this
Yeah.
in this last
No,
quarter
I
of the
think
year?
yeah, I think there's a lot of listings on the way. In the last quarter, I was gonna say this month, maybe even by the end of this month.
Yeah, this
But
is
yeah,
because we talked about all the conversation was tech conversation, but the part that is the more interested for the people is, are there any listings coming on the way this quarter?
yeah, I'll just say a lot more listings are coming on the way this quarter. Um, as you know, like I'm at the XNET Foundation along with Chase. So a part of our whole migration a year ago, or a month ago, was kind of launching the foundation who can kind of engage in all these works, right, with liquidity. So yeah, there will be frankly more liquidity coming on chain for traders and way more liquidity coming on centralized exchanges very soon. So very exciting things. And yeah, obviously this is live on Binance live, right? So maybe even that by the end of the year would be great. But yeah,
You heard
no,
it, guys.
that's
So don't wait too much.
When you see the market cap of Ethereum, okay, go on, Shine.
I was about to say that we are not giving any type of financial advices, but go buy some XNET tokens, because God knows what gonna happen in the upcoming months. Yeah, thanks a lot, Daruka, that you mentioned the listing part and everything else, and it was a fun live stream. I really hope that we're gonna have a Twitter space as well, because we have different type of communities, an audience that follows up on our platforms. So we can discuss it also on the Twitter space when the time for listings comes, and also on other upgrades and stuff like that. We are here, to support the project. It's not something that we want to make a point or anything. We are here to support this whole type of narrative, this whole ecosystem that you guys are growing, and also those numbers that are being shown on real time, for the project. I would love to give you some space as well to have a last message or anything else that you would love to get it out there for those who are watching us before we wrap this live stream up.
yeah, no, thanks for having us on. I think it was a great conversation. Hopefully I didn't bore too many people with like the industry weeds, but I will say like a message to just broader crypto degens. I'm one myself, right? That these things are important because it's how we're going to get users to actually use this thing we built, right? At the end of the day, it's not all going to just be memes and dog coins mooning. Like that's not a defensible thing for this industry to grow in the coming decade and kind of shape how like technology and I think all of our physical infrastructure in today's world will also be decentralized.
Yeah.
So I think XNET is leading the wireless infrastructure in the US and internationally soon. There's a lot of other companies building cool ass stuff across various industries. But yeah, go dig into it, go research it, go help them in whatever way you can, because this is the future, right? And we're building it all on Solana. So it's great. Yeah. Well, thanks for tuning in and hearing us out. But yeah, a lot more stuff to come, and let's go. Let's accelerate.
Oh, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Shan. I really appreciate it, man. And I really appreciate you guys having the time to join this live stream today, and everyone else who attended and watched all of this conversation, which it was attractive. Thanks a lot for all of those. It was the first live stream with Crypto Plus Plus. Make sure to follow and turn notifications on the Binance Live account that we have. I would love to everyone to go and follow also XNET on their socials. You can easily just search it up, XNET Mobile, and everything will appear, and you can see exactly what we're talking about. Without not lasting longer and talking bullshit and stuff, let's wrap it up and let's catch up on the DMs and talking about opportunities that we can grow each other, on the upcoming months. Thanks a lot for everyone who was attending this live stream, and have a good one till the next one.
See you.